this is who I am. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm talking to you from San Diego, California right now. I was actually going to come to Detroit, and a couple weeks ago realized probably wasn't the right thing to do for various reasons. So I love that we're able to bridge the gap virtually. So here we are. I'm in San Diego. The weather's nice out here, and we are together, ideally face to face, eye to eye, heart to heart, right? And especially these days after 2020 and the whole COVID pandemic, we've really bridged gaps virtually as we've been socially isolated. So coming to you from a distance, this is who I am. This is why I do. I've been a member of the core team with Purpose Point now for a few years. I've got a business, an organizational development firm called GPS Business Group. Been a certified business coach and facilitator for coming up on 20 years now. Trained with the likes of Tony Robbins. I've trained action coaches in 26 countries. MBA, retired Marine Corps officer, spent a total of 24 years in the Marine Corps, mostly in the reserves, and excelled in the sport of rowing. And I'm socially isolated in San Diego with my wife and my dog, and that's my why, right? And I've been attending just about every presentation here remotely from San Diego with the Purpose Summit. So I've been listening to what folks have been saying, and I've been paying attention. And what this presentation is about is really more kind of a synthesis of everything that we've been taken away from a lot of the presentations. And again, we all have whys, right? That's my why, right? We all have reasons for doing what we do, right? And the ideal is that we're resonating with purpose and we're engaging as effectively as possible. So I'm going to be kind of toggling back and forth between this presentation, but I'm going to turn it off for a second. And again, I'm just looking, seeing who's out there. You know, for me, it's all about engaging as effectively as we can through Zoom. I use Microsoft Teams a lot as well. But the first question I've got for you is we're getting together, we're doing this, you're spending time, there's lots of other things you could be doing. It's so cliche, right? How you doing, right? Everybody's like, hey, how are you doing, right? And everybody's like, oh, I'm fine. I really want to know, really, how are you doing, right? So as we go out there and we do, from session to session here at the Purpose Summit, from business toggling back and forth, we're doing so much, right? So we're doing as well as we can, but it's always good to be able to check in with ourselves around how we're doing. Now, I know me, I'm a human being, right? So I try to be as often as I can, but I'm also doing. So as you kind of process this, just again, a little bit of a reflection on yourself. What is your experience of yourself right now, right? Notice the question's rhetorical, right? But if it weren't, what would you say, right? And by the way, you guys can all unmute your mics right now, okay? I'm going to challenge you. When I ask those questions, feel free to chime in. I'll be looking for you to step up and engage. What is your experience of yourself right now? Strong, engaged, empowered, or maybe you're disengaged. Maybe you're distracted. Maybe you're unfocused, right? So again, just process that and reflect on that. And every once in a while, I'm going to pause, because the question may be rhetorical or not. If anybody wants to engage and check in, if you feel so compelled, you feel the energy of involvement, go ahead and unmute yourself and contribute. Otherwise, I'll just kind of keep the conversation going. But I know that I'm here because I'm strong, engaged, and focused. But some of the time I'm reactive, as we go through life, like it can challenge us to be reactive and do things because we feel like we should be doing them. And maybe we should be doing other things. But my intention for you while you're here today for this short time we're here together is to be focused and committed and engaged. So as I mentioned, the purpose of this session is to discuss and confront our performance and our productivity, whatever that looks like for us as individuals and as teams, ideally in business, and doing what it takes to determine what it will take and what it'll really take to live the life that you were meant to live that life of purpose. So notice there's kind of a Socratic element here because I can talk about myself all day long, but again, this presentation is a mirror for you to reflect on. Oh yeah, hey Chris, life is good, everything's great. I'm here with Davin and the team, and my purpose is strong, right? So time to reflect on that, right? How are you going through life? Are you stuck in the doing this as we're human doings, or are you being as effective as possible? And frankly, it's a balance, and we're going to be talking about that in a year a little bit more. So makes sense? You guys on board with that? Michelle, Derek, again, I appreciate you guys sharing your webcam. It's good to see you. And again, guys, turn those cameras on if you can. Love to see you. Notice there's no pain involved, but if you want to be involved, you step up, that'd be great. So for me, it's all about, fulfillment, right? A lot of people ask me, why am I doing what I'm doing? Jeff, in the house. Jeff Zupancic in the room, brother. I love it. Again, as I asked myself, people ask me, what do? Well, I want a happiness, right? I want everything that Jeff talked about earlier today, right? I want a life of fulfillment, and I think we all want that. And the key is we get to reflect on whatever that looks like for you, a life of joy, right? So just stop. Everybody just stop for a moment and just kind of settle into this moment, right? It's 2:10 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, May 13th, 2021. And everybody just kind of just pause for a moment, right? And just reflect on the condition that you're in right now. You're probably in different parts of the world. I love that we're tapping in remotely. Some of you may be in Detroit, but just kind of reflect and just kind of settle into this space. And I'll challenge you to extend gratitude for this moment, right? And many of the speakers over the past couple of days have been talking about the power of gratitude. Well, the key is not to talk about it, but it's the experience of gratitude. So just stop for a moment. Take a deep breath, eliminate those distractions, settle into the space, and just listen. And just listen to the silence, right? And just listen to the resonance that's in the silence. You just listen to your heart and listen to what's going on in your psychology. Is it busy? Are you distracted? But just settle and extend gratitude for this moment of time we have together. Whether you want to define that moment of time as 3 days at the Purpose Summit, this hour together, the rest of the day, or the rest of the week. So just settle, extend gratitude, take a deep breath, fill those lungs completely up, putting yourself into a condition of resilience and resourcefulness through oxygenation, pulling breath into your lungs, and putting yourself into an optimal state and a condition, and experiencing yourself right now to be able to perform and step up as best you can. That's kind of how we talk about performance optimization. And we'll actually unpack this as we go along over the course of the next half hour. So from my perspective, success in life, which I call performance optimization, is all about awareness of our current situation, just like you did, whether it be the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, extending gratitude into the moment without smoke screens, without delusion. I work with business teams all around the planet, and one of the first things we do is we diffuse smoke screens, and we get people to operate from a place of trust and authenticity and candor from moment to moment, right? So notice while we're here together, these moments are ticking by, these seconds, these minutes. Today, the hours are ticking by. It's that awareness of ourselves, the experience of ourselves, and how we're showing up. And it's important that we show up with that resilience and that resourcefulness. So now, looking at yourself, looking at the team, again, looking at everybody who's here today. Now let's expand a little bit. Let's look at the world as it is today. Wow. So here we are looking at ourselves, looking at the team, looking at the group, and then all of a sudden, wow, what a world we live in, right? Pandemic, division, uncertainty, all the chaos that's going on out there, right? The disconnection, even though we're more connected now more than ever through Zoom, etc. But just feel the energy in the world. It's a wonderful world. It's a beautiful life. There's lots of great things happening. But as you look at the condition of the world today, it's our responsibility as leaders to step into that space and be the bridge and actually foster connection in a divided world where we have this pandemic, this COVID thing that really nobody knows what's going on. Even Fauci, right? He's out there doing his best, but if we really don't know what's happening in context, we need to be responsible and pragmatic, right? So that's what it's about, is checking in with yourself from moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. And how am I managing the uncertainty? I know one of my stories in my background, I was in the Marine Corps in 1991 when Desert Shield turned to Desert Storm. I felt it was my patriotic duty to go into the Marine Corps. I had a job, I had a wife, I had a house in Central Florida, and I sold the house, quit the job, and moved my wife to Quantico and started my life as a Marine. And wow, that was some profound uncertainty. And a lot of people ask, Chris, why the heck did you do that? For me, it was purpose. I was called to do it. It was a patriotic duty to go to war and serve my country. Fortunately, I didn't have to go to war. By the time I got stationed at Camp Pendleton in North Carolina, the war was over. So I got to serve in peacetime, and then I stayed in the reserves. I got out about 5 years ago. But it's that experience in 1991, as well as consistent experience in the Marine Corps, in an organization of honor, integrity, and courage. It's all about that resilience and managing uncertainty on a day-to-day basis, right? So that's what we're kind of confronted with. That's what we're faced with. And I want to bring another component into it now, as we're looking here at at our condition. Again, I always like to get perspectives and feedback from everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, but before I do that, just want to make sure that we are communicating here. Are we good? Everybody, thumbs up from everybody. We're still good. We're still on board. Again, if you feel compelled to chime in, go for it. This is more of a conversation than anything. So I always like to make sure that everybody's aware of that. Okay, hold on. I just got to stop my share again. Zoom's great. Just got to make it work. All right. Okay, good. All right. So perspectives and conditions. Here's a condition I want to share. So as we're going through life, we're doing everything that I'm talking about. You're resilient or you're resourceful. My experience in life and in business is a lot of people operate from what we call below the line. You know, many of you have probably heard about this, that, you know, people are always, you know, blaming situations. They're blaming the economy, or they're blaming their, you know, whatever. They're blaming their parents, you know, they're blaming their kids or whatever. They're making excuses. They're in denial, right? It's something that's, frankly, I think it's kind of gotten to epidemic proportions in our society. And just think about it as you resonate with it, as you kind of look at the world the way it is. A lot of people are going through life and they're casting blame, right? They're pointing fingers and, oh, it's not about me, it's about you. But we all know that when you point your finger, notice there's 3 fingers pointing right back at me, right? So that's another angle on it. So my challenge to you while you're in this room, as well as when you leave this room, is to focus on playing above the line. So in business, this is the foundational rule that I have with all my clients, is to focus on taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for all facets of your life and your business. That's the difference makes. And a lot of you are probably, oh yeah, this is me, Chris, I do this all the time. Well, I'm putting it in the forefront of your psychology because I'm human just like everybody else is. And some of the time it's hard for me to pull myself above the line, because there's always reasons that exist below the line around, hey, it's okay that, you know, things didn't work out the way they did. And some of the time I'll fall below the line of what I call championship level performance, and I'll stop taking accountability and responsibility, because that's where the reasons lie. That's where people that are making reasons and excuses lie. So results is what above the line activity and behavior is about, right? So my challenge to you as we're talking about this is take this into your heart around ownership for your situation in life and your business. How accountable are you being held? Do you have a culture of accountability with your team? And we all know that champions love accountability, being held accountable to results. And then, of course, being responsible. Responsibility for your situation in your life could be a good situation, could be a situation you want to change, taking responsibility for that and playing above the line all the time and consistently, right? Now, normally at this point in my seminars, I'll say, what do you guys think about that? And people engage and they have conversations and we talk. And if anybody wants to comment on this, I'm wide open to that. It's kind of awkward for me just to give a one-way presentation. That's why I like it when you share your cameras. But Derek, I see you unmuted. What you got for me?
Yeah, you know, I actually just got out of a pretty good presentation last week, and it was all about taking ownership. And as a leader or an executive, or really like as an employee in general, like it is your responsibility. Like if you see something happening and you don't act on it, it's your responsibility. So I'm in agreement with that.
Good, love it. And it's good to get the reflection. Appreciate your sharing, Derek. So again, I know we all could share around our perspectives, and we could probably share around, hey, you know, I got people that I know that I see they play the below the line, and maybe they're intimate family members, maybe, you know, maybe they're business partners, and we get to come to terms with that, and we get to be the change, be the example, like Gandhi says, right, of the difference we want to see in the world, right? So as we talk about this, as we talk about performance optimization in our lives and ourselves, there's so much that we don't know, right? Yeah, like I know a lot, right? You saw my bio, my background. I know Jeff, you know a lot. Derek, Michelle, Kimberly, you guys know a lot, right? So you know, think about what you don't know. Like I know that I don't know how to do brain surgery, right? I know I don't know how that the filament in that light bulb works, right? I know I don't. There's so much I know that I don't know, right? And then from there, think about all that you don't know, right? That's the area of possibilities, right? That's the area where actually, thanks, Jeff. Hold on, I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. That's the area of possibilities. That's where possibilities lie, and the ideal of being oriented toward what can be, as opposed to, you know, being reactive in life, right? So a lot of this stuff, people are like, oh yeah, Chris, I do this kind of stuff all the time. I understand this is what it's about. But again, think about what you don't know that you don't know, and come from that place of possibilities and what can be. Okay. So with that, I'm going to challenge you guys, and I'm going to show you a quick video here. So you guys are going to love this. I'm going to share my other screen here. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get the right one going here. Great. So I'm sharing multiple monitors. So, all right, great. So I think I've got this configured right. I didn't have it configured right a second ago. I'm going to share the screen again here. Okay, I know I have it configured right, and here we go. All right, this is a quick 90-second video. Okay, guys, I want you to go ahead and play full out, pay attention, and listen and engage. Okay, so here we go.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
Focus. Focus on the white shirts only.
How many passes did you count?
Okay, actually, hold on. All right, I'm going to pause that. I'm going to go back. How many passes did you count? I just want to get some feedback real quick. I know you guys counted the passes. How many passes did you count? I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, I see Jeff says 5. I get 10. Okay, 14. Jeff says 14.
I got 15.
15. Okay. 15.
I counted
okay.
10.
10. Okay, great. So you're counting the passes. That's all good. So we're gonna go back to the video now as you're looking at the passes.
The correct answer is 15
15.
passes.
Ooh,
But did you see the gorilla?
no.
I love this. Oh, I love
This
it.
video is from
That's
research
it.
by Daniel Simons.
So, okay, don't take it from me, take it from these guys. So, all right,
First
going back to
degree
this.
And is copyrighted.
Oops, hold on. So this is off YouTube. By the way, you can see this on YouTube. So how many people saw the gorilla? Did you see the gorilla? Okay, some see the gorilla, raising your hand. By the way, give me a reaction if you're not sharing your webcam. By the way, that gorilla was there for real. When I first saw this, I was like, there was no gorilla. I was in denial. I'm like, no way. But that gorilla was there. So again, look at this as we talk about the reality of what we see and what we don't see, you know, what we're aware of, you know, and seeing some things and being aware of and knowing what we know, but also awareness of what we don't know that we don't know. That's kind of that's a prerogative. Again, just give you a reflection on yourself. And by the way, just like I said, you can actually go to YouTube and watch that again. You're probably going to if you didn't see the gorilla. It was there. But the moral of the story is we focus, right? And we engage and we do things the way we feel compelled to do them. But our responsibility is to be able to see what we're not seeing, right? So in business, as I talk about effectiveness and performance, it's really important that as we go through life, especially in the situation we live in the world of uncertainty and division, and we're the leaders that the world needs us to be as we resonate with a place of purpose, is to see things differently, right? And pay attention, right? Keeping your eye on the ball, whether it be literally or metaphorically, but at the same time, awareness of what's going on in your periphery as well, and being aware of what you're not seeing. And that's process analysis, right? Many of us are business owners, business leaders on the call, and we have processes, right? And we think our processes are good and they're solid and we're rocking it and everything, but maybe there's some areas of the process that get to be shored up. So always looking at things, seeing things differently, and determining how things could be done better. It's that raising the bar of performance and being open to suggestion, you know, from your teammates around process improvement. As we talk about team optimization, having people tell you, hey, you know, you're the boss and we love you and all, but we think you could be doing things differently. If you've got a culture that fosters that level of candor, that makes all the difference, because then you're going to be able to improve the process. And then, of course, make the necessary changes, effectively executing, because we talk about strategy in business is important, but without execution and feet on the ground and boots on the ground, the war's never going to get won. The business is never going to get acquired. So effective execution is the key. And then, of course, systemizing and tracking results. And I love this. This is my mantra: doing what it takes, right? Not doing what you think it takes, not doing what somebody else tells you that it takes, but doing what you know it takes. to be able to perform however you want to in your business or in your life. Maybe say you want to do something simple like lose weight, right? What is it going to take to lose weight, right? Something as simple as that. But think about all the goals you set for yourself. You know what it'll take. But too many people live below that line and they're like, oh, I don't have the time. I'm making excuses. I'm casting blame. Playing above that line and performing as effectively as possible. Does this make sense to you guys? Are you guys on board with this? Is this loving this? Good. Some nods, some thumbs up. Yeah. Some of the time at this point, we don't have time today, but share stories around your experience of that. I'm sure you guys have got lots of stories, right, around what it takes and maybe some challenges you've had and maybe what you've done to be able to make the difference in your life. Matter of fact, I'm going to transition back over to my app here. In preparation for the session, we did a poll. So I can actually go to polls here in Whova. I love this Whova app. And you can see, this was the poll that I put out there, and you can see some of the responses. What have you done to optimize your resilience and resourcefulness during the COVID situation? I got 13 responses to this poll. So again, don't take it from me, take it from you. This is what you guys are doing to be able to keep that bar high, to be able to engage, to be able to get results. So made sure to set time aside to connect with friends. Yes, we need to do more of that. Lots of prayer. Yes. Increase communication with the team. Each morning before my feet even touch the ground, give gratitude. Honor the blessings. Yes. Yes. Don't take it from me, guys. Take it from you. This is your poll responses, right? Staying active, journaling, surrendering, trusting, positive attitude. Again, this is your responses. And I love this because we are all empowered, powerful, purpose-driven leaders, right? And that's why I put this poll out there is we get to be more resilient. We get to be more resourceful. And I'd love to know from you what you're doing. And this is the feedback that I'm getting. So I love these polls. And back to my angle on it, I think a lot of it is self-awareness. Notice what we're talking about. Is, oh yeah, Chris, self-awareness, right? Seeing myself, being aware of myself. And there's some, I've seen a couple people over the course of the past couple of days here at the Purpose Summit talk about, the imperative of understanding ourselves. And there's ways to do that. And in business, you can do DISC profiles, you can do Myers-Briggs profiles, you can do Strength Finder. I'm a big fan of the Enneagram, but do these profiles and take yourself on and be able to see yourself the way other people see you, right? That's how you're going to be able to keep the bar high and clear the bar as you continue to condition yourself to raise that bar to clear that bar that you raised, right? So as champions raise the bar, they condition themselves for performance. It's all about self-awareness of ourselves, how we're showing up. And we already did a little bit of an exercise on that earlier today. And in the context of purpose, here's a really good Japanese process, which actually, from my perspective, really resonates with what purpose really means. And as you go through life, as we look at the concept of meaning, and again, don't take it from me, take it from this Japanese concept, it's important to take all these concepts together, the 4 big circles around what do you love? What do you love to do, right? What does the world need? Right now, you're probably resonating with, oh yeah, I know what the world needs, and I've got a business that's serving that. That's great. What can you be paid for, right? We got to make money. We got to make a living, right? And then what are you good at? If you take those 4 big circles and bring them together and you identify with that and you process that, that becomes purpose, that becomes meaning. And you can see as we get into the context around it, defining your passion, your mission, your vocation, and your profession, and also defining some potential blind spots, some things you may not be seeing, around how, maybe you're feeling satisfied, but there's maybe a feeling of uselessness as you consider merging your passion with your profession. Don't know if any of you can relate to that. I know that I can in my life some of the time. So I'm always taking myself on and raising my bar. Maybe you've got delight and fullness, but maybe you don't have wealth, right? So maybe you've got excitement and and complacency, but maybe you've got a sense of uncertainty, or maybe you're comfortable, but you've got a feeling of emptiness. So awareness of this, guys. We're all human beings going through this life, doing the best we can. And this is a really good perspective that we got to challenge ourselves to be able to engage as effectively as possible. Does this make sense? Is this resonating with you? And my ideal for you guys is we take this into our heart. Again, I've only got about 45 minutes to give you a presentation, but I want to give you as much value as possible as we identify with ourselves, right? And we identify with our identity. And as a matter of fact, I think Jeff even talked about this morning. We talk about the identity. So here we are. There's an iceberg, right? Think about, we call it the identity iceberg. See the 10% of the iceberg that's floating above the water? That's just the 10%. That's what people see. That's our behavior. Those are our actions and our decisions, right? And that's what people see. So you guys have got a pretty good identity. I can tell you, I'm looking around, you got some good looking faces and everything. You're presenting yourself well. You got some nice environments, but what's going on below that waterline? That's the 90% of the iceberg that we get to focus on. So when it comes to skills, how are your skills in the context of developing a business that works and leading a team? Do you have the skills? Can you hone the skills, right? And it's relatively easy to get those skills because it's closer to the waterline. It's not as iced in, right? So you can change your skills. You can actually add more skill. Then you get into your beliefs, those belief systems, right? That drive us and tell us what we're supposed to believe, right? I call it the belief system, right? The BS, right? Where some of the time we're told to believe things that we really don't believe, but why are you believing what you're believing, right? It's really important for us to confront our BS and go through life with belief systems that work for us. Then you get into values. Think about values. What are our values? As we think about values in our lives, core values in our business. Why do we do what we do? There's some foundational values that we all have, integrity, honor, courage, commitment, the values of the Marine Corps or whatever. So what are your values? And they're iced in, but people don't see them necessarily. What they see is a result of them above the waterline. And then ultimately your identity. And your identity was sculpted between 0 to 2 years old when your parents did the best they could to raise you. And how is your identity shaped? Because it's really hard to change your iced in identity that lies deep within the iceberg. And that's what we all get to take on, right? And I give a whole course on just this iceberg around identification. And then of course, environment, culture. As you work and you're in business and you're engaging with a team, what's your environment? Is it an environment that's positive and happy and oriented toward results? Or is it a culture and an environment of maybe where people are playing below the line, right? Like I say, guys, this is a mirror. This whole presentation is a mirror for you to reflect on the reality of your condition. And I remember I mentioned before about that being and doing, the beingness of who we are, it lies below the waterline. It's how we're being, what shows up, what we manifest in front of other people has everything to do with what we do in private. Right? And how do we cultivate those beliefs and those values? Our doing is what happens and manifests those results on above that waterline, and eventually the results we get, that's what we get to have. So there's a formula for success in business. We call the B times do equals have. So we have to be, we have to do so that we can have, right? So as you consider this, again, just kind of pausing again and reflecting on your culture and your condition, whether it be your situation in your life, the culture in your own head, in this uncertain, divided world that we live in. Is it a culture of progress and possibilities? The culture of your family, as you raise your family, as you're a member of your family, the culture of your business, what's your environment, and we talk about culture, we get to choose that. We get to create that. We get to sculpt that. That's what we as leaders get to do in that context, right? So notice how you're feeling about this. It makes sense. As you're with me, you're present and you're engaging. So this makes all the difference as you consider culture. And it's not about me. It's not my responsibility. It's your responsibility to be able to sculpt the culture that works and to be able to optimize yourself with self-awareness and how you're going to do things. Okay. So by the way, just a real quick vignette. A lot of people talk about, as we look at culture and how we show up as leaders, what does the Bible say, right? The meek shall inherit the earth, right? Matthew 5. Meek, right? Meekness, right? My father was a Baptist minister when I was a kid. And I always like, oh, meekness, I got to be meek, right? And I got to be quiet. And I want to redefine what meekness is in the context, Meekness is, it's a level of capability. When I think of a warrior, as a Marine, I was a warrior, right? And I call myself a peaceful warrior, like Dan Millman's book. If you haven't read the book, Peaceful Warrior, I never want war. I never want fight or conflict, right? I want peace, right? Yet at the same time, I know that I'm capable to defend myself and defend others and do my patriotic duty. And for me, it was all about peace through strength, right? So again, context, concepts, and everything. Being aggressive versus passive as you process what meekness is, A lot of people these days really aren't happy that they're socially isolated and having to stay at home. They're not happy about that. So how's that showing up? Are they being more aggressive to try to make a difference in the world, remotely and virtually? or are they just being meek and just waiting for the COVID thing to pass? I know that a year ago when it happened, I pivoted very effectively to virtual, right? It made all the difference for me because I was aware of my capability and I was meek, but I wasn't weak, right? It's meekness is a precision kind of strength. Matter of fact, just a quick story as we talk about back in Greco-Roman days. Wild stallions were brought down from the mountains and they were broken for riding. And some were used to pull wagons and some were raced. And the best were trained for warfare, right? They were retained for their fierce spirit and their spirit of getting things done, their courage, their power. But they were disciplined to respond to the slightest nudge or pressure of the rider's leg, right? Think about this. If you're an equestrian, you know what I'm talking about. So they could gallop into battle at about 35 miles per hour and come to a sliding stop at a word, right? They were not frightened by arrows. They weren't frightened by spears or torches. And they were said to be meeked. They were meeked. So I want to give you a different perspective on what meekness means as you consider your culture, the culture of your psychology, the culture of your community. So to be meeked back in those days was be taken from a state of wild rebellion and made completely loyal to and dependent on one's master. It was also you're basically being taken from an atmosphere of fearful and made unflinching in the presence of danger. So some war horses back in those days, they dove from ravines into rivers in pursuit of their quarry. So they were noble and they were brave. Some charged into the face of exploding cannons. Just like in the charge of the Light Brigade, right? There's a good metaphor there. And these stallions became submissive, but certainly not. They certainly weren't spineless, right? They embodied power under control, strength, and forbearance. That's what meek is. All right. So just real quick, defining meekness as you consider your culture of yourself in your life and in your business as well. So the meek shall inherit the earth, and we get to be more meek as we understand our power, and we get to sheathe our weapons and use them only when they need to be used, right? So 4 overriding truths in business. Number 1, organizations are perfectly designed to achieve the results that they're getting. Organizations are perfectly designed to achieve the results that they're getting. So think about your business and your organization. What kind of results are you getting? Well, your organization is perfectly designed to achieve the results. Moral of the story, constant optimization, raising the bar, keeping it above the line all the time, right? That's an imperative of business. Second overriding truth, business success. Everybody asks me, hey, Chris, how do you succeed in business? It's 90% process and 10% magic, right? A lot of people say, hey, how do I sell more effectively? Well, you got to have a sales process. You can't rely on magic and hope. Another really good book that I read, Hope is Not a Strategy, right? And it's not in business, right? So it's process. It's all about excellence coming from perpetual dissatisfaction. Being grateful, again, celebrating your successes, but realizing that, hey, I can be better. You know, the champions, the ones who win, and you probably are thinking about a lot of athletic champions or whatever, are the ones that actually are always raising the bar, and good enough never is, right? So that's how businesses succeed. The third one is discipline. Luck is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Having the discipline to do what it takes to achieve the goals and fulfill the strategy and the business plan that you put out there, and not rely on hope or luck. And then ultimately performance and productivity is ultimately about an individual's mindset and attitude. And again, I love the Purpose Summit. Everybody's been talking about this and our mindset and our attitude. So again, reflecting on yourself. Here's a mirror, you know, what does it take to succeed in business? You know, a lot of people, strategy, you know, how are you doing with strategy? How are you doing with discipline? How are you doing when it comes to marketing your business effectively, selling effectively? How are you doing when it comes to managing your time? Oh, Chris, I'm great. Are you? Could you be doing better? Are you below the line? Maybe there's a little bit of denial in there. But we got to take ourselves on and reflect on our condition around what it takes to succeed in business. And are we doing that? Do we have the education that we need to have? Do we have the skills we need to have? Do we have consistent positive self-talk on a daily basis? Are we focused on results, or are we hoping we're going to get those results? And then ultimately, emotional intelligence. We all have to have that emotional intelligence, right? So again, just reflecting on yourself and looking at these. And again, these are all components that we get to have as we condition fitness in business, whether it be physical fitness, the energy we put out, you know, how healthy we are, what's our attitude, what's our energy, mental fitness, How do we show up? How strong are we mentally and psychologically? Or emotional fitness. Again, take it from Daniel Goleman. We talk about emotional fitness and emotional intelligence. How emotionally intelligent are we? And that's what we get to do as champions, is to condition that fitness and cultivate that state of mind. I did a little bit of a quiet exercise at the beginning of this call, and we calmed and we listened and we had some silence and you extended gratitude. That's just about the best way to cultivate a state of mind of resilience and resourcefulness that I know that works, right? So it's all about that presence, being fully present, being engaged. So some people will say that it's about being in the zone, right? A lot of people talk about the zone. If you're an athlete, you know what it takes to be in the zone. I excelled in the sport of rowing 30 years ago, basically. I won a national championship in the sport of rowing. And during those rowing races in a 4-man shell or an 8-man shell, I didn't know what I was doing, because I was so in the moment and I was so competent at being able to pull the oar and work as a team that I was fully present in the moment. And that's in the zone. And that can be cultivated. And there's lots of ways to do that. Again, stillness, silence, meditation, creating a condition of optimal psychology. And that's what it's about. Again, like I say, I'd love to be able to talk about zone around think about as we condition the zone of performance and we condition optimal performance. Optimal performance is all about constants, right? As you condition yourself, you perform, whether it be in business or in athletics, and the most constants are the ones that prevail. So if you're constantly raising the bar and building that muscle, whether it be your mental muscle, your emotional muscle, it's that constantly raising the bar of performance and doing what it takes to be able to go from where you are to where you can be. And then ultimately, team. When I talk about business, right? Together, everybody achieves more. So cliche, right? So looking at team, right? So that's about team, whether you're rowing in a rowing shell, Marine Corps fire team, or you're a business team, is what it takes. So how are you showing up as we reflect on your capability to operate as a team? By the way, another perspective on team. You guys know that there's no I in team. You've heard that before, right? You see that? Well, actually, there is an I in team. It's hidden in the a-hole. So there you go. So get the a-holes off your team, right? So there is an I in team, it's in the a-hole. So again, helping your teammates, mastery in the context of teaming, recognizing the plateaus. 2020 was a plateau for many of us, and they're normal. They're going to happen. But the key is, when you're on that plateau in business, create a training system for yourself and your team, and realize that you are a leader in the context of that team. And how are you showing up as a leader, right? Again, it's reflection. It's possibilities, it's training, it's conditioning, it's setting those standards of training on a regular basis. What are you doing to put the right people in the right seats in the bus? What's your ongoing training look like? Do you talk about it? Is it effective training? Are your meetings good meetings? Or are they just meetings for the sake of meetings? Is your processes documented and followed? Are your standards reinforced? Is everybody committed to keeping that strength strong? Again, as I mentioned before, you're rewarded in public for what you practice the most in private. How are you doing? Too many people project smoke screens saying, hey, Chris, I'm doing great. Everything's awesome. Well, I'd love to be able to kind of get through those smoke screens and actually look at the reality. And you probably got a pretty good status quo, but my responsibility in what I do in business is help business leaders confront that status quo, determine what's holding them back, because something might be holding us back, right? In whatever it is, business, life, family, fitness, whatever, and confront that. Don't play below the line, no excuses, no blame, no denial, and actually be truthful about what's holding you back. Because mastery in the context of performance, it's a mindset that the champions have. Again, knowing the plateaus are coming, knowing it's part of the process, and always looking for the pathway to get to the next level, right? And of course, as Jeff even said this morning, finding somebody who knows the path and eliminate trial and error and do that benchmarking, right? So as we come up to the end of this presentation, again, lots of stuff coming at you really fast. It's really unusual for me just to do a didactic discussion because I want to get your feedback along the way. And I know you're present with me and you're engaging. My challenge for you is, what are you going to do now? What action are you going to take? So it's all about challenge. Challenge yourself and your team to raise your standards and commitment to maintaining them, just like the champions do in business. Choose just one thing that you're going to step up to within your business and just within the next week or the month. I'm not looking for a quarterly commitment or an annual commitment necessarily. And you probably all have business plans, but what are you going to do to step up and change based on some of the challenges I've given you today? around optimizing fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, emotional fitness. I can't be there with you to tell you what to do, but this is your opportunity to step into that space, and I'm going to challenge you to do it. What's the commitment, and when are you going to take action on this commitment? What it was, Tony Robbins always says that the best, never leave a place of setting a goal without actually taking an action to fulfill that commitment. So I'll challenge you to do it. My intention for you during this relatively short presentation around raising that bar of performance and productivity, and being a human being, a purpose-driven human being that cares for yourself, for your family, and for your team. Again, don't take it from me, take it from you. You guys know how to do this, but the challenge now is to challenge yourself to do it. So again, this is what we do. Again, I love doing this. I love giving presentations, facilitating activities, and it's about doing that strategy, engaging, training, team building, workshopping, and making your business work. I offer a complimentary business assessment. If you want to talk more, there's my email address. Stay in touch. And of course, LinkedIn. Let's connect on LinkedIn, please. Just go to LinkedIn. Matter of fact, I'll just let me see here if I can. Where's my LinkedIn? Well, there's my LinkedIn profile. Eventually, it'll paint. Actually, I think I had this set up already. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there. Boom. There's my LinkedIn profile. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Would love to stay in touch. I want to learn about what you do. I want to learn the difference that you're making in the world. And it's all about, again, raising that bar of performance and doing what it takes. Okay, so notice we're like right on time. At the same time, there's still some of us in the room. Let's engage. I love to have Q&A. I love to have conversation. I've said a lot very fast. I was only given 45 minutes, but what's resonating with you guys, based on the world as it is today? What are you stepping into? What are some of your possibilities? And what are you seeing in the world?
The gorilla got me, Chris. It got me, but what it made me think of was I kind of went a little bit on a tangent from what you were saying. But the gorilla, I feel like, is like an unconscious bias. It's like we're so focused on trying to do the right thing and trying to do and say the right things, and that's what that reminded me of, and that was kind of something that struck me.
Right, that's cool. Thanks for showing. And again, I love that. When that first happened to me, I was convinced that wasn't true. But again, we're not seeing so much. So if you're as you're walking away from this, realizing, wow, there's so much that I'm not seeing. There's so much I could be saying. And again, doing what it takes to see it. So thanks for your participation, Michelle. I wish you the best. Anybody else want to engage and talk? Again, here's your poll. By the way, the poll results are back up on the screen now. Anything anybody else wants to add around what it's what you're doing to be resilient and resourceful? Again, I want to know from you all. I could probably tell you all day long, but this is coming from you. Anything else? Any other perspectives that's making the difference for you as we share wisdom? If not, that's fine. Again, silence and listening is also good too. All right, great. So people are jumping off. I know we got to go to another event. I think we're in break mode now. So again, I wish you all the best. I'd love to continue the conversation. So let's keep the conversation going, again, through social media, through the Whova app, Q&A. This is the end of the Purpose Summit. We're at the end of day 3 now. And again, my challenge to you is, what are you going to do? So go out, do what Gandhi says, right? Actually, do what Gandhi did. Be the change, be the difference. Gandhi didn't have an easy life, but life happened for him, and look at the difference he made. So go out and make a great life, guys, and be the person that you were meant to be during this life. I wish you all the best. Blessings.